Okay, we're going to start our first flipped staff meeting. This is for December, and our focus is going to be on PBIS. So today's agenda, we're going to go over some Swiss data, look at orange sheets, some tweaks we're going to make to that, and then dive into our PBIS reboot. Rebooting PBIS comes from feedback from staff on some behaviors in the building and how we can help be more proactive and really reframe how we're doing PBIS in the building. So we'll go through those things, then we'll end the day with what we're going to be working on this Friday at our early release time. But before we go on to that, we have a gnome to pass out.
Alright, so you guys don't need to see my faces, but I want you to see the faces of some of the students in her class that are affected. So this person I chose to get our gnome because I have seen her make a huge difference in the lives of these kids in the past few months that she's been in this building. And she's been a rock star, always has a smile on her face, has some difficult behavior issues in her class sometimes, but she always has the hugest smile on her face, always cares a lot about the kids. And JD, can you tell me why Miss Casey is a great teacher for you? Because she's nice. And Maida, can you tell me why you like Miss Casey as a teacher? She cares for you? Absolutely. She shows it every single day. So we're going to go in and we're going to give her Mr. Gnome. Do you want to go in now? Should we surprise her? All right, let's go. Look at the door. Here. Okay. You walk right up and give it to her, okay? Miss Casey, you get the gnome for December.
Oh my gosh! Wow! Thank you so much. Wow! Everybody, look what we have. Can you tell us about the gnome? What does the gnome mean?
The gnome, boys and girls, means that Miss Casey is an awesome teacher, don't you think?
Oh wow!
Absolutely.
Wow, we're so proud to have this.
You've made a huge difference in the short amount of time that you've been here, Miss Casey, and we see it every day.
Oh wow!
So thank you, Miss Casey.
So here's some examples of some of the charts and things we can get from Swiss. On the left-hand side is all of the referrals we have accumulated since August and the time of the incidents. So you can kind of see it looks like mid-morning, and then right after lunch there's some big spikes in behavior referrals. And then to the right you see the time or the day where we have the most referrals to. Next, this is looking at students. These are students that have a minimum of 3 referrals. That's kind of the default for Swiss. But something interesting to note is that when you're looking at this, it'd be hard to make sense of, but actually the total number of students represented in this graph, which is all the referrals we have, are 30 students. And that makes up about 7% of our student population. So when thinking about this, PBIS wants about 20%, 80 to 20, and we're sitting at 7%, which is pretty good. I know that the types of behaviors aren't those that we're looking for, but still that percentage is right about where we, well below where we would like it to be. And so now it's really trying to figure out how we can be more proactive about dealing and handling with some of these more severe behaviors. Here's another graph. This shows by location. No surprises here. The most frequent location is the classroom, followed by playground and then hallway. And I think some things we can learn from this, and probably already know, is that we need to start improving our documentation on the playground and again in the hallway. So it's more of making sure everyone's comfortable with handing out orange slips. What are we doing for these orange slips? What types of behaviors are we referring and using these orange slips for? And then making sure that everyone is documenting the behaviors that they see so that we can have some accurate data. And then here again is by month. Typically October is there's a spike in behavior, so this isn't out of the norm for us. And then we just started December, so that is pretty low. Okay, next we're going to be looking at the orange sheets. We'll have these for you on Friday, and then we'll answer some more questions about it. So one thing we're going to do with the orange sheets, we're going to change, and we have made a conscious effort to do this, but we've kind of made it a little more easy to understand. We've eliminated some things on there to make it helpful, but we really want to focus and be specific on what we're using the orange slips for. So the first thing you'll notice is that at the top it's data tracking. Really that's what we're using these orange slips for, is the data tracking. And again, these are for majors only. During our PD on Friday, we will have some sheets that distinguish specifically what are majors, what are minors, and then when majors occur, we'll have a flow chart to show the events of action steps for the minors, or I'm sorry, for the majors. So for data tracking purposes, it must be filled out completely so we can enter into Swiss. These are not going to be sent home anymore. We're going to rely on parent contact. So if that's a phone call, dojo, however you're making parent contact, if that's by the teacher, or if it's a more severe behavior than by the office, that's how we will notify parents of the behaviors. We're not going to be sending these up to the office with students if a student is sent to the office. We're going to use call the office, send myself, Mr. Tony, Bianca a message, and we'll guide that student up to the office. We're not going to be sending them up with orange slips anymore. So no copy is needed of this because the actual orange slip is the one that we will use. And then if you fill out an orange slip, you can also just take a picture of it and send a digital copy of it to either myself or Bianca for input into Swiss. Okay, so moving on, we're going to look at our PBIS reboot. We kind of looked at some other schools locally who've been doing PBIS for some time now with some success, and some things that we noticed were that a lot of the materials we have are consistent with other area schools. It's just how we are delivering the message and being consistent with it, the fidelity of rolling it out. So the first change you'll notice is our new gold slip. They're much smaller, just a little bit bigger than your ID card, and less writing on it too. So really the only thing you need to do is put the teacher's name and the student name. So once you have a copy of this, you could probably just write the teacher name on there and then make copies of it. And then what you'll be doing is just handing out, or writing the student's name and handing them out. The idea is to have them small enough where we can kind of connect them to our lanyards. We'll punch holes in them and use like a large ring and connect them there, so you have them on you at all times, and you can just rip it off and then hand it to a student. Some changes with this: we're not going to send these home anymore because A, they are smaller, and B, we want to try to keep this in-house and start recognizing students a little bit more. And what we're going to do is, as you collect the gold slips, you're going to be able to level up and earn some prizes or rewards. And there's an example of the reward in the next slide. And then through the accumulation of these, you'll be entered into bi-weekly drawings. And this is going to be for students and staff. So every 2 weeks we'll have all of the gold slips collected, kind of go through them and select a certain number of students and a certain number of staffs who then would earn an additional reward on top of their leveled prizes. So in this one you see the example of our levels. So once a student earns 10 tickets, they would earn something from the prize basket. We're really working on trying to get them tailored to our building and have like gold pencils, some bumper stickers, bracelets. You can see the rest on there, but the goal is that you're not collecting tickets and then trying to buy things with them, but you're actually earning and accumulating them, and as you do that, you move up levels each week. So this will require teachers of keeping track of how many tickets students have. Now that can be simply the student's responsibility to, once they earn them, to keep them, track them in some sort of a pocket chart, or if the teacher has like a spreadsheet where they're tallying how many tickets students have. We're going to leave the collection method up to the teacher, but we will need the physical gold tickets at the end of each week so that we can hand out those level up prizes and then really put them in for the drawing at the end of every 2 weeks. So because we're doing this level up, all of the celebrations that we've had, we did the dance party, and then we did the leaf in the gym. So we're gonna postpone and suspend all of those. There is some funding that's correlated to them, so we want to make sure that we use that funding on prizes, leveling up things, and then hopefully plan a end of the year celebration that would be all encompassing. So those monthly celebrations are going to stop. We will not have a December one, but then the plan is to try to have something towards the end of the year. So the goal is for our initial launch to be on January 6th. That's the first day we come back from winter break. We're going to have a schedule of going to different areas of the school where PBIS is a focus, where there's a matrix, and these areas will be led by the adults that are in those areas. So we're not going to have the teacher leading the lunchroom expectations. That will be done by lunchroom staff. We'll have someone in the library leading them, someone in the hallways. We'll have some on the bus, the playground, so the recess staff will be leading those. And then obviously in the classroom, the teachers will be going over those. So our first day, we'll have a schedule that we'll share where it's pretty laid out, you know, where you're going, when you're going, and then what your students will be learning and what kind of expectations they'll be looking at and exposed to. And then before we do that, we'll have an assembly for each grade level to kind of explaining the relaunch and then moving through the morning rotation. So then the rest of the week of the 6th will be really hitting hard all of those expectations in the different areas. That first day on January 6th will be the assembly and then the rotations. But then over the course of the week, the expectation is that we go over the rules a lot. We're going over the expectations in the hallway, the playground, and so students are well aware of what is expected in each area, and we will have posters hung up. Classrooms will have the matrix. So we will need classroom teachers help, every adult in the building help, really making sure that we have full effort into this to make sure that we kick it off very smoothly. Then on December 13th, which is Friday, we'll start the day with the meeting with a holiday potluck lunch in the library. And then after that, we'll kind of go over any questions that anyone has on the gold slips, the orange sheets, any expectations, anything like that. I will share it on Google Docs so you can ask your questions in advance so that we have those done. And then after we go through that, we're going to break up into groups and create some videos. Those videos will be modeling like what is not expected in areas, and then what behavior is expected. And then we'll share out that prior to Friday, so you know in advance what you'll be shooting, the expectations, and what that will look like. And then over break, I will put those together, share them out so that we have those accessible in Google Drive, and then share them along the way. Then the goal moving forward will be to use that Swiss data. I will try to incorporate that into the weekly news every other week probably, so you're well aware. And then we'll kind of tailor a focus to those specific areas where we need a little more awareness or gold tickets, or going over and reviewing those expectations. So I hope this form of staff meeting was beneficial. Let me know your thoughts in the Padlet.